Hello everyone, it's Mike here, and welcome back to Simutrans Beginner's Guide. Now, in this episode I'm going to show how to kind of start your first route. But first, we're going to look here at the landscape settings, because I said I didn't like the desert. And basically, this stuff controls how the map is generated, so you can have more roughness. Usually smoother is better because it'll make it easier to actually lay down track. If it's too rough, you actually won't be able to lay down any roads or track easily. The water level is the height that the water's going to be at. Mountain height is how high the mountains can go. And the winter snow line is where the snow is at during the summer, I think. Oh wait, no, that's during the winter. So, yeah, that's how far it comes down in the winter. Then you have the desert, which is what we're removing, so I put it at water level. And basically these numbers are where things start. So there's not going to be a ton of desert now. You could actually put it under the water level. Or wait. No, this is where things end. So desert ends at -2, which means it ends underneath the water. And then it begins to do tropical climate up to 0 and yada yada yada. You get it. So this is where that climate ends. The level that it ends at. And anything above alpine climate is Arctic, and it's basically uninhabitable and nothing much spawns up there, or gets generated up there. Then you can also add more rivers, and how big the rivers are. You can also remove trees, you can have lakes or not. So if you want more control over what your map looks like, there it is. But we're just going to start up a normal game otherwise. And as you can see, we removed the desert pretty well. Desert's gone. So, what we want to do first is we want to see what kind of industry we can do. So we have iron and car assembly plants. That's kind of a big tree to go down, but if it's the only tree, then I guess we'll have to do it. Okay. So we have up here, and apparently I don't have factories on or whatever. And I think you only need factories to make everything work. Yep. Alright, so we have several garbage dumps, it would appear. Is this a garbage dump as well? It is. So basically, what we want to do here is we want to make a train line to 1 or 2, if we go this way, of these garbage dumps. And I think I'll go for the 2 first. And we can always hook up the other one later if we want more garbage. So let's see here. The first one is just right here somewhere. There it is. So basically just make a railway long enough for a station, and it has to be straight. Okay, I forgot. This is a tutorial. I need to explain everything. Or, not need to, but some people might need to know everything. So basically, train stations can only be placed on straight rails. And no intersections or anything like that. So you're going to need it straight. Now, they can be placed on bridges and tunnels. So you can have you can have like subways and stuff. So that's kind of cool. Boy, that's a little bit wonky, but I guess I'll have to make it work. And so for now, I'll probably just start out with a train going to this one. Now I'm not sure if we're going to need more than 2 for it to work. Where am I going here? Up to here. And we'll go ahead and put down a train depot. We'll go ahead and buy the cheapest train. And we need waste, which should be bulk goods. And up here, okay, I should explain what all this stuff means as well. So, there's a loaded weight, and, well, there's just a whole bunch of stuff to go over here. So, I better go over it. Basically, in any depot when you're buying vehicles, you have a whole bunch of information you can look at to kind of figure out which one you're going to do. So basically, you have all these trains, and if we hover over this one that we just bought, you can see down here, you need to look down here for the information. The name of the train, the cost in parentheses is how much it costs per kilometer it travels, and it's really good to keep that low, especially early on in the game. Usually if it costs more per kilometer, that means it's either more powerful and can haul more, or is faster. But we just need slow train, cheap, so this one will do it, because there's not much else that's an actual engine that's cheaper at the moment per kilometer. It's not very strong though, so that is something to keep in mind. Anyways, and it has how much power it has down there, it has how much it weighs, and it has its max speed. If we come over into the train cars, we can see if we hover over one of these, it has a weight as well. But then there's also a weight of how much it can carry. So this one can carry 20 tons, which means loaded, it will be carrying 33 tons. That's how much it'll weigh. And so, luckily you don't have to calculate all these numbers by yourself. There's a much easier way. If you look up here at this line beneath the trains, this line is telling you if your locomotive, or if your entire train basically has enough power to transport the stuff loaded at its fastest speed. If we have one more, it means it's going to slow down a little bit. And you can see down here under max speed, it'll be 38 kilometers per hour max speed when it's loaded. And it definitely won't have the acceleration it usually does. So, all good stuff to remember. And yeah, it tells you, like, everything. If you actually look down over here for the engines, there's sometimes a gear ratio. And I'm guessing that means it multiplies the power, or divides the power into speed. So, yeah, that's interesting. I've never noticed that before. It also has the intro year and the retirement year, so we'll actually be coming up on the retirement year of this engine in like 5 years. Here's the time down in the lower left corner of the screen. Well, I didn't want to select that. Okay. Anyways, we have our convoy ready. I'm going to go ahead and load it down quite a bit because we don't care too much about speed, as long as everything on this track goes the same speed. And we'll go ahead and make sure the schedule's good, because that was weird. Oh, didn't finish it. Oh, so basically, should explain again, getting ahead of myself. Basically, the schedule is where you want your vehicles to go. So, let's say we have a track down here. You just click add stop, and this will add stops onto it. Insert will insert stops in front of whatever item you have selected, because you can select different items once you have multiples. I'll show you that. There you go. And you can select which item. And whichever item is selected at the start, when it first gets going, that's the one it's heading to next. So, like, you could have it go to here first, but there's really no point. And then what you need to do here as well is there's a minimum load option. And for anything that usually hauls freight, you usually want this to be 100%. This makes sure that you have all the goods loaded before the vehicle takes off. And you can also, I've never noticed this before either, but it would be useful, is you can set how many months it'll wait. And if it gets over how many months it's supposed to wait, it will leave. I'm guessing. I actually haven't tried month wait time, so don't take my word for it. We'll have to do some experimenting later, and I'll tell you exactly what that is. But for basic trains, using the load option will work just fine. And so now our train should be ready to go. Now, let's say you made a track, and we will do this later, but I'll explain it now. Because we'll probably do it in a second here, and it's just best to explain. Let's say you made a track that can take 2 trains. You know? It's pretty decent, and it can take 2 trains. What if you want to just be able to copy... Let's say you have a large route, like it goes around this entire map to each city. There's a train that goes around to each city. Now, you would probably never do that, but you could. And let's say you suddenly wanted to add a new train to that line or upgrade your existing trains. How would you do that? Do you have to select the entire schedule again and hope you get it right? Yeah, it's one way. There is one other way, though, that works very well. And that is if we go back into a schedule of an existing train, you can then come up here and click Promote to Line. Now, lines are fairly useful. We should probably give it a name. Something more useful than that, like say... Waste 1 or something. I don't know. We'll probably come up with a more creative name. Usually I use like a name of the city, what it's going to, that type of thing. But for now we'll call it Waste 1. And we'll let it go again. And so now, I have this as a line. Now there are many things that make a line extremely valuable. For one, you can go into line management. And as you can see, we get information on this line, what it's doing, how much it costs, is it making us money, a whole bunch of stuff. And we'll have to let it go for a few months before we can get any useful information out of this screen, but it's good to know it's here. You also, on the right, get a vehicle list of the vehicles that are currently running that, and you can click on it, and it'll take you to that particular vehicle. You can also, if you're wanting to kind of like phase trains out of the line, you know, get them out, you can click the Withdraw All button, and as soon as the vehicle is empty in this line, it will be sold. And so this is really good if you want to mass retire vehicles that are in a line. And so there's just a lot of... Well, I just took myself out of the map. There's a lot of useful things you can do with a line. So next up, what I think we want to do is go ahead and make this dual train viable. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, see, the thing is, you can create a dual track all the way. But usually at the beginning of the game, you don't have enough money for that. What you can do, though, is similar to the way the United States does things, at least, I know for sure, and have different waypoints with signals. Now, let me explain signals again, because I can't assume you've watched my other videos where I have gone over some of these before. So basically, this right here is a basic signal. These other signals are fancy. We aren't going to use them right now, but they are useful for other things. We'll probably go over a few of them eventually, but since I'm only planning on running 2 trains right now, we'll just go with this. So, basically, let me see if I can hide the trees. That hides buildings. What hides trees? That changes other things. We'll just look at the keyboard bindings then. Hide trees is %. There we go. So that way we can see what I'm doing better. So essentially, a signal, if you place it down, this is a 2-way signal. It always starts out as 2-way. And when a train comes here, it has to reserve all the track up to the next signal or station that it's going to. And basically no other train can use that track after it's reserved. If a train comes up this way, runs into this signal, it will have to reserve all this track up to the next station or signal. And there are ways to look at that. You can probably find it in the help hotkeys. You can actually look at what a train is reserving. Let's actually see if I can find that real fast, because it's kind of cool to see. Let's see here. If I don't have enough time, then I don't have enough time to find it. But it is really cool. It's a cool view. And it kind of shows just what everything looks like. Yeah, sadly I can't find it. I accidentally pressed it once, and that's why I know it exists. But can't remember how to view reserve track. Let me see if it's something you can do in the train. Nope. Okay, well, we'll stop looking at that then. Because it's interesting, but not that interesting. If I, said freight, no. If I said tracks, no, it doesn't show what's reserved. Anyways, the key is they have to reserve tracks to be able to move, and there's a way to view it, but I can't remember it. Anyways, we have a train coming up, which could be bad if it makes it to this signal while I'm messing with it, but we should be okay. So, let's say we only wanted this signal to be one way, only allow trains to go in one direction. You just click it again. So right now it's double, you click it. Now it's saying one way this way, so the train can go from here to here. And then this one is saying it's one way this way, so the train can only go this way. And if I left it like this right now, and in fact I can do it, as you see it turned green, so that means the track has gone ahead and reserved all the track up ahead. But if I leave this as a one way, the train won't be able to go back. As you will see here after it drops off its waste, it should say no route. I don't know how long. Yep, there we go. Cannot find a route. Now, if we just go ahead and delete this signal, then it should, though it might take it a little bit, be able to find a route again. One way we can force it to find a route is just if we try to change its schedule, then it'll recalculate the route and be good immediately. So basically that's what I've done here. I've set up a waypoint system where if a train's heading this way, it can head into this block and wait. And if a train's heading this way, it can head into this block and wait. And basically this is the most expensive part of a dual track, is the signals. So technically you can sometimes make a dual track and then just really be sparing with your signals. But the waypoint system, at least for the start, works just as well. Oh, one other thing that I should mention is that up here you see the cost of the track. I can't remember if I went over this. Hopefully I did. Let's just go over it again because it's very important. The cost of anything up here that you build usually has its initial cost, which is for just placing it. And then in the parentheses it has an upkeep cost, which is how much it costs to every month basically for you to keep the track. And as you can see, for that kind of track it's pretty cheap. It gets more expensive as you go up, obviously. And but the nice thing is, for signals there's only initial cost. So but the initial cost is pretty steep. So you can do tons of signals. Absolutely tons. As many as the game usually handles. And there is actually an automatic way to do that. Let me just show that real fast. If you drag along a line like this, the game will automatically create one-way signals in that direction, spaced intermittently about 2 tiles, it looks like. And this is a really useful thing if you're just wanting to like lay out a long stretch of track with signals going one way. However, we don't want to do that, but it's useful to know how to do. Especially if you're in Pack 64, because everything is super cheap. You can put down whatever you want, and so you can just put down a ton of signals. I did that in another video. You can check that out if you want to in my Pack 64 series, but yeah. What's up with this train? Did I pause the game? I paused the game. Okay. Let's go ahead and show kind of why else another reason to have a line. So we'll go ahead and make another train. Now, if we want it to run the same waste 1, we come up here to serves line, and we can choose waste 1. And if we start it, then there you go. And basically, these trains will meet in the middle now. We should see that happen. Who knows, they might... Nope, they didn't time it perfectly to cross over. But basically, there you go. And so now we can have 2 trains running the same route, making twice as much money, without any problems. And all for just a few signals and a kind of switchover point. If we added another one of these, we could probably have up to 3 chains running this track. And I think it would probably be best to do it down here because I'm seeing that the trains are having problems like keeping up with each other. And what I'll do here is I'll have the faster train go on the route that's a lot less good. And then I'll have this train go that way. And now we should be able to safely have 3 trains running the same line. And then I think we'll be all out of money. But basically, this is how you start Pack 128. You try to get as many trains running as you can, making you money. And basically, as long as you're far enough away, and this is definitely far enough away, you'll be making money with this method. So it'll all be good. And we do have some slowdowns, but you know what? It's pretty good for what it is. And there, those 2 crossed at exactly the same time. Beautiful. This is the setup you want to have at the beginning. And surprisingly, I still have a lot of money. I could put another train somewhere. But yeah, we're kind of coming to the end of the video, so this will give you an idea of at least how to start it. And just to show you that we are making money, here it is for the year. Operational profit is everything as far as operation costs and maintenance. If we add in construction costs and cash flow is everything. But if you just look at that, then these trains are making a decent bit of cash, you know. We had a dip last month, but it's not bad. And this is including all track costs. That monthly track cost is considering the vehicle's profit and also their expense, like how much they have to do per kilometer. Now we do have a problem here, and that is this dump does not have enough waste to support 3 trains. But we will deal with that in the next episode. So, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. And until next time, I will see you all later. Bye-bye!